been a very rough day. And I've been wanting to do make this video here for the last couple of days, or a few days actually. I'm gonna say something about Dante Wright, and I'm gonna say something about Mr. Torres. I think the charge of manslaughter against the officer and who shot Dante Wright is completely appropriate. I don't think it was done intentionally. The excited utterances on the video will carry a lot of weight. I don't think it was a failure of training by the police department. I think it was a failure of training by the officer. So I kind of reject a whole bunch of stuff out of hand, because the people making these comments have never really done anything similar to, I believe, done anything similar to policing. Yes, I understand that the taser was on one side and the gun was on another. Kind of baffles the mind how anyone would make that mistake. But I throw out, well, the gun is steel and the taser's plastic. It was a Glock. The grips, anybody that knows anything about a Glock, the frame of a Glock is plastic. The gun weighs, so many ounces, and the taser weighs, so many ounces less. That's not enough of a weight disparity in that kind of moment where you would even notice. And what I suspect, because this is all speculation, her body did exactly as she trained it to do. Which means that she didn't really train her body to grab that taser across her body, because I think it was in a cross-draw configuration, which I've been telling the police for years you should not do. You should not draw your taser cross-draw. It should be weak hand draw. That way the taser will be beneficial to you if someone is going for your gun, and then that you won't make these kind of errors, hopefully, because this person made an error. It takes so many repetitions before something becomes, I don't want to say instinctual, because I'm not really sure the definition of the word, but habitual, before you're able to do something without even giving it a second thought. And so that officer did not train her body because she wasn't under a lot of stress. And she was a training officer, which really baffles the mind. She's an FTO, a field training officer, and she's making this kind of, she made an error, which is she didn't train her body to grab the taser. Her body, her muscle memory, her motors, her muscle, what is the word? Her muscle memory, something else. Okay, but anyway, she didn't train her body to grab the taser. Her body was still trained to grab her gun, which she must have done many, 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 many times. Probably before she even came into possession of a taser, since she's a 26-year veteran. So she didn't properly train her body, and so she grabbed the firearm. Trust me, you're not looking at the weapon at all. You're not looking at it. Unless you bring it up to your line of sight, you're not looking at it. And then even if sometimes, and this has happened to me, not necessarily in this kind of scenario, where I've reached to do something, saw that I was doing it, tried to stop what I was doing, but couldn't stop until I completed the action. And I don't know why that sometimes happens. Maybe you just didn't catch it in enough time for your brain to send the signal to your arm or your hand or whatever to stop. You know, sometimes that happens. Anyway, I think the charge of manslaughter is completely appropriate. If it's a 10-year max, you should probably do every day to the door, because you don't get a chance to make those. You don't get to make those good faith errors, and you don't get a chance to make those good faith errors, regardless of whatever kind of service that you've given to the city, state, county, or the United States government, and get off lightly. Because the citizens, you know, we can't. I couldn't make that good faith mistake and not get prosecuted and probably not get the max. So, you know, that's my take on that. Now, as far as the shooting of the 13-year-old boy Torres in Chicago, I will only give that officer a pass. Only give that officer a pass if he saw that 13-year-old running with a gun in their hand, because they literally could have ran up to the fence, threw the gun, and turned around. And I will tell you this, from my I don't want to say it was training, because he didn't train me, but from my experience, this scenario that he went through, where the gun, my firearm, was in my chest, high and ready, and he had a gun in his hand behind his back. And the best I could do, and this is after he told me to shoot him, because every time he came from behind and pointed his gun at me, I was trying to wait and to verify that was a gun. I would get shot every time. I mean, every time. It was too late. If I took the time to verify, it was too late. Now, when I didn't take the time to verify, I maybe, at most, shot him 1/10 of a second before he shot me. And I knew he had a gun in his hand, and I knew he was coming from behind 1/10 of a second at the most. But I still took the hit. So if that officer in Chicago saw that 13-year-old boy running with that gun in his hand, and that kid turned around with any kind of speed, just turned around, man, I almost can't blame that cop. I almost can't blame him. In fact, I can't blame him. I can't. And I'm no great police apologizer. I don't apologize for the police. I don't make excuses for the police. It's just that I've experienced something sort of similar in a scenario that somebody was trying to educate me years ago, like back in 2015 or so, 16 maybe. And man, either if I waited till I verified, they shot me first. And if I didn't wait till they till I could verify they had a weapon in their hand, maybe 1/10 of a second before they shot me from a high and ready position. So if he was already pointing his firearm at him and he turned around, yeah. And it's too bad. It really is too bad. And I like to end this whole video on, remember what I say about how you promote yourself and the things that you do. And don't be surprised when people treat you that way. What do they call Chicago? Oh, Chirac. There's a lot of shootings there. A lot of people getting shot there. And you know, that's your reputation at work. Now, you know, the other guy, and I can't remember his name, and I apologize. The other guy who got shot 16 times on the ground, and that officer got convicted and he didn't get the max, that's garbage, that's nonsense. And the police department tried to cover that up, and the mayor tried. That's garbage. And I apologize that I can't remember that gentleman's name, but not this time. Not with the Torres kid. No. But only if he saw him running with the gun in his hand. And that's all I got to say about it.